I am live. What's up? Didn't do any announcements for this one because I wasn't sure that I would be able to be live for it. I have so much going on today that I thought I would have to be pre-recorded, but I didn't even have time to pre-record it. And luckily, I had had some space where I could jump on here right around a little bit after noon. So the plan is, though, if you don't get an announcement, is to get to girls Fridays at noon. And if you don't see an announcement, whatever, just pop over around noon or have your. This is why it's so important to hit that notification bell, because if I jump on live or whatever, you'll get that. Hopefully, get the notification like you're supposed to. Hopefully, YouTube won't screw you out of that deal. And if you're not in the middle of something or what have you, you can take a break or whatever and hop on and get live questions answered. So that's the whole reason, really, for me doing a live video rather than the pre-recorded, right, with the cool intro and trying to grab more of more clicks, right, with the title in the first 3 seconds of your video. Usually will grab you your clicks, new subscribers, new people come to your channel that way. But the live stuff allows me to answer your questions, so that's the thing. So that's what we're doing here, and we'll give it a minute to let some people pile in. But today we're going to talk about basically harems or setting up threesomes, okay, setting up a casual partner and opening up that paradigm right from the get-go of being able to have multiple women. And I'm going to show you an example. One of my clients, shouldn't say I show you, I'm going to read it, okay, because I didn't have time to put it in a format that I could screen share it and make sure that everybody's identities were concealed and stuff, even though he did a really good job of that. I just didn't trust myself and didn't want to do that. Didn't want to just throw it up there in a rush. Done that before, and I don't think that's good, because it could potentially show who's doing what. I want to keep people's privacy. So, text-based notification service. I know, dude. I know. Well, it's weird. I have my email list. Maybe I'm not using it though. I need to probably next week. I got stuff that needs to go out to my email list. So there's nothing in the description of this video right now, but after I log off, I'll do the description real quick. And so later, or on one of my other videos, make sure you get on my email list, because maybe there's possibility of me like sending out notification like just to my list for the week, times I plan on being on or whatever. But it's tough because I'm not a YouTuber like professionally. That's not really what I do. I have other things that I do that actually makes me money off the side, and particularly with clients in Apex Mindset, I got a lot of people booking sessions and consultations with me. Some of them with very serious problems, some of them with just kind of like help me out with game problems, some of them with who are very high status, high level too, and guys down to your kind of average guy trying to make things happen for himself. So that's where I spend most of my time, right, is doing basically performance psychology and relationship consultations in session. So sex, relationships, and performance, right? That's kind of what I'm working with people on in sessions, and that's what I actually do. So YouTube is sort of the thing to get content out there and stuff out there to you guys. Don DeMarco, what's up? Yeah, man, I'll jump on the thanks, brother. Yeah, I'll jump on the Fresh Fit, dude. Like, that would be cool. I like them dudes. I think Myron's doing a great job over at Fresh and Fit podcast. His show is pretty entertaining, and you'll get little gold nuggets in there too. So I enjoy it. I like it. I wouldn't mind being on there at any point. So let's see. Email list link. I don't have it. Like, go to my old videos or go to this video later. It'll be in the description. But all my videos have a link in the description for the email list. And also, if you go to apexmindset.net, on the bottom, it's get on the email list, right? So there's a ton of ways to do it. Yeah. So let's I don't know, guys, if you don't have any questions off the bat, let's get into this text exchange. Off topic, Don DeMarco asks, what advice do you have for young enlisted guys? Smash the like. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that in the chat there. So young enlisted guys, get in shape, I mean, the first thing I have to tell you is the more in shape you are, the more in good physical shape you are, the better off you're going to be when you go to your basic training, whichever branch of the military you're going, whatever. Get in shape. That's the best thing that you can do. Your drill sergeants or drill instructors, wherever you're, depending on where you're going, okay, they're gonna teach you everything. Just go in with an open mind and be in shape and be ready to learn. That's the best advice I have in general. Okay. And it sounds like pretty easy, but you'd be surprised how many guys, because of the way kids are nowadays, the young people are sitting on the couch all day playing video games and binge watching, shows and stuff in podcast and whatever on screen. They're not actually getting outside, spending any time outside. So if you want to do military stuff, get outside. I don't care if you're going to the Navy and you're going to be on a ship, or if you're, a supply, plan going on into supply or logistics or something that isn't like an operator job where you have to be in really great shape. It doesn't matter. Like, being in good physical condition is still a requirement. It's still going to help you with the mental aspect of getting into good physical shape, right, is going to help you with the mental aspect of handling whatever environment you're in. Now you're talking about getting into the infantry, or getting into, let's say, special operations world, stuff like that. Now we're talking about more things that I can talk about, and I probably wouldn't talk about that stuff on YouTube too much, but I've had guys come to me asking me about that offline or whatever, and prepping for those sorts of things. And but at a baseline, though, being in shape is kind of the thing. So that'll answer that question for you. Was the link removed? I sent it to the chat. I have no idea. I don't remove links. So your guess is as good as mine, man. I'm not sure. Thanks, though. If you want to go send the sign up to the chat, I don't know why it would be removed. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe they don't let. I have no idea how it works. But yeah, dudes want to get on the email list, just go to another video or wait till this one is done, and just sign up there, or go to apexmindset.net, and it's just a simple click, on the bottom of the page, and you'll get there that way. Need to book a hypnotherapy meeting? Yep. Well, book it, bro. Go to apexmindset.net, and you can schedule me right there, and we can square you away. Don't get married as anyone. Yeah. Don't get married. Exactly. The military pushes you into marriage. Dude. It's crazy. Oh, you're already in. Don DeMarco's already in. I didn't even know that. I meant while I'm in it. Oh, well, get with me offline, Don. All right. Get with me offline on that. Shoot me an email or something, okay? You're on all the time, so I'll recognize you, and I'll actually answer you. So yeah, let me know on a personal level, later, what it is you're actually doing, so I can maybe offer some more specific advice. How many guys right now can't do a simple pull-up? Right. No, exactly. And so that's the thing, man. Guys get so down on the sexual marketplace and all this and that, how girls are and whatever, man. Look, it is not hard to be attractive and to show up and be attractive to a female anymore, because so many guys are unattractive. So many guys are weak. So many guys are physically weak and mentally weak. And it's not that hard, dude. The standard is not that high for you to get hot girls. I'm not going to downplay Fresh and Fit podcast, but you might watch that and you see these OnlyFans girls they bring on, right? And they're out in Miami, and they're out basically status hunting. So they're only going for that top 10% of guys because they're status hunters who are making money, showing pictures of their butthole. Cool. That's only a small segment. We'll knock my mic over. Small segment of the female population. There are girls that are just as attractive as those girls, if not better in a lot of cases, who are probably more fun to be around in middle America, okay, in moderate sized towns, who aren't showing pictures of, their butthole on Instagram, who aren't hunting for blue check marks on Instagram and parties and crap like that, which, by the way, I have a party I'm hosting tonight if anyone's interested in Detroit. But any of you blue check mark girls don't want to come out of this party. But seriously though, you know, it's their status. There's people that status hunt. That's the segment you're seeing, the little pie part of the pie chart you're seeing of women out there that are, you know, get presented on YouTube. And I'm not downplaying Fresh and Fit's podcast. It's a great podcast, great thing to watch. Just to understand though, that's one like segment. Okay. And yeah, you know, there are girls that from middle America who go down to places like Miami for vacation sex and setting up those parties. But again, you know, those are a small segment of the population. All you have to do is show up and be a man, and it's amazing. Being a man and having just a little bit of game is going to start getting you results in the sexual marketplace. Now you want really excellent results. We got to work on skill sets, work on your SMV and stuff like that. But I mean, it's just not hard to get girls get laid. I know guys, some of you guys sit here, watch this, and you know, it frustrates you to hear me say that because you're having a hard time, but it's just a simple shift of a few things you're probably doing wrong. And that's why I do these videos, because I want to help you guys, because it's just not that much more extra you have to do. Like this person I'm about to share, I mean, the dude's a stud, you know, no question. You know, he's a very alpha guy. He presents well. That being said, he wasn't like killing it with girls when he first started talking to me. He is now. So, you know, it was just a simple shift of a few like behaviors and a few things going on in his mindset that we just had to shift those things, man. And he started killing it. And so you're right, though. There's guys out there who can't even do one damn pull up. You know, I mean, that guy's not, no one wants to bang that guy. And that guy is a lot of the population right now. Girls are starving for an alpha man, starving for a physically capable man. If you can show up and be that, that's simply going to the gym and simply learning just man behaviors, not even learning like game, right? So much. And you'll start doing well. The bar is low, is what I mean. Even for halfway decent, hot looking girls. All right. They're not all out there banging celebrities. That's a small segment of the population. All right. Yeah. 75% of Americans are overweight or obese. Don DeMarco says that, and he is correct. Hit the bell. But yeah, so that's what I mean though. You got people are fat now. People are gross now. It's not that hard. You know what I mean? Stop seeing yourself as average because the bar is remarkably low in the chat. Yeah. 100%. My email. Yeah. So my email is go to apexmindset.net. That's my website, and you can send me an email directly from there. That's fine. But see, my actual email address is apx. I'll put it in the chat. apexmindset@gmail.com. I had to put APX because, of course, somebody took Apex before I got there. I took it. So I had to do apxmindset@gmail.com. That's my email direct. Okay. Now keep in mind, when you guys send me an email, I have an assistant, Brittany, and she reads like my emails. She will not read though the consultation questionnaire. That's so when someone wants a consultation, they fill out a questionnaire and they tell me a little bit about their problem. Understand, like, another person, it's a general company email, so another person has access to that, but she doesn't actually read that. Okay. So for privacy and stuff. But that's not, the privacy is happening, in the consultation more or less. Right. So just be aware that some guys will get like, oh shoot, like a girl is responding to my email. Yes, I have to have an assistant that does my scheduling and stuff, but I respond to my own email too. So she is my gatekeeper because I am very busy in a good way, but I mean, there's a lot of demands for my time. We'll put it like that. So she screens my email for me. She sends me when some people have questions and stuff that it's beyond scheduling or anything like that. She will just forward those to me. But yeah, so once we get into a convo, you can hit me up on social too. Got Instagram and all that, so you can find me there. So there's all kinds of ways. I try to be accessible, like I'm an authentic person. Like I'm pretty much the same guy that you see on YouTube is what I am not on YouTube. But I'm getting, since there's so many more demands of my time now than when I first started, I have to be careful about that so that I can keep going in the right direction, right? Mental point of origin, right, boys? Okay, so Paul, I'm a 21-year-old male. Just want to say your advice has really helped me improve my life. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Um, the earth just farted. Okay, that's nice to know. My first three-way, the chick's roommate I was trying to smash just joined in after coming home early from a bad date. Yup. Yup, that happens. Yes, Paul is my real name. No, it's not Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is taller than I am. So, all right. Your life has to be in check and organized to have confidence with women. If your life is disorganized, you're winging it. Yeah, probably. All right. So let's get into, got enough people watching, and let's get into this little exchange here. So I'll read parts of the email too. All right. So client says, this is somebody I've been helping a bit, and he's been kind of looking to, he's been executing the things I've been saying and developing his own game with that. He's been doing really well. So he says, hey brother, had a successful text exchange, led me to get some sex, basically. Cute girl. Yep. So she's a good looking girl. Look at the messages, you'll see her asking some beta questions, eccentric. Said we had sex. I used domination in BDSM techniques. Yeah, so sexual technique is really important for frame. Guys, do talk to me about that in consultation. That's not a lot I can talk about on YouTube. When I drop the frame course, hopefully we're looking at next month. I should have my registration set up. We're gonna have a chapter, or I should say a module on sex, and on the Zoom calls and in a community that I'll have attached to the course, we will be able to talk about those things uncensored. Can't talk about them as much without being very censored here on YouTube, though. Unfortunately, got to obey their rules. So then she was setting up. So this girl, he hooked up with her. He basically met her, text closed her, hooked up with her, set up the paradigm for her to source other girls for him. And then that's the process they're in right now. Okay. And so this is based on, this is the advice that I give guys when they want to set that paradigm up. So in the beginning of the relationship, when you're the alpha lays guy, okay, the alpha bang, right? The guy she's banging because she wants to get laid by you. That's when you open the paradigm up for bringing in other girls. It's in the beginning. You want to do that early in the sexual exchange. Now you have to have also demonstrate a high amount of sexual power with her, right? So she's got to have like amazing sex with you. So that's kind of a requirement. You're not going to have multiple girls in the bedroom if you're not good in the bedroom. You know what I mean? So she has to have a peak experience in the bedroom with you. When she has that, it can put her in the frame of inviting other girls in the bedroom. Most girls will do it. When I say most, probably I'd say, I don't know, maybe 70-30, maybe a little better than that. But they're not going to do it when you're married for 10 years and then you all of a sudden say, okay, I want to bring another girl in. Sometimes they will. Actually, they can. But that's a harder road to go, and it's a harder frame shift because you need to be able to demonstrate to her that the other girl isn't going to violate your marriage or your relationship that you've had for so many years or months, right? And so that's a bigger challenge to overcome. But in the beginning, there is no relationship. She's coming to you to get her fun, right? And to get sex. And so that's when that paradigm is introduced, right? Not later. So a lot of guys are fearful. They try to get the girl with commitment signals and just with the paradigm of just, dating the one person kind of paradigm, that monogamy sort of signal. Not that they're necessarily saying, oh, let's be in a relationship, but it's just they're afraid to discuss the idea of other women around, and they feel like that's going to make her run away. And so they don't do it in the beginning. And then yet they're still spinning plates. They still have other girls they're seeing, and it's never that conversation. So then months later, when the girl wants more of a commitment or something more or whatever, now this guy has this challenge, which is to give up his life with other women, or to commit to her, or to not commit and potentially lose her. And that's the whole mix up, right? But if you from the beginning or get-go establish an early frame announcement that having other girls in the bedroom is maybe kind of fun and okay, and part of what you can do in a healthy functioning relationship dynamic, then it's much easier for that to work out later on, and for her to be wanting to be a consistent part of your life with that. So I'll look in the chat, get more questions in a minute, but let's read this first part. So he says, so he had some exchanges, and I'll read the exchange. All right. So it started off with, so he opens her up on Tinder, quite the selfie collection. Used her name, how are you? So not a bad opener. That's one. It's a generic one that can work really well. I use that one too. Again, it's not saying I like, or, I'm avoiding compliments there, but I'm just saying, hey, quite the selfie collection, or you got quite a lot of selfies there, wink face, something like that. Not a bad opener. Okay. Just a good general one. If she's got a lot of pictures of herself. She goes, good, thanks. How are you? He says, good, thank you. What are you up to today on this stunning day? She says, been for a long walk with my friend, shopping now, then school run, enjoying, and he says, enjoying the sun, nipping to town soon. If you're free later, would you like to grab a drink? She says, I've got my boys tonight. Sorry. Goes, okay, maybe some other time. She says, definitely. All right, so cool. It was a normal exchange. He goes to close her right away. She defers that. Now, a lot of guys, unfortunately, will take really bad advice and go, oh, man, she doesn't have genuine burning desire. That's it. She said no. She didn't offer a new time. Screw her, blah, 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 blah. That's wrong. Okay, like you can often reopen a girl. She doesn't, again, I've said this before. I'll say it again here. She doesn't know you, right? She doesn't know who you are. And if you've watched the tests, I've not done these myself, but other people in the internet, okay, have done the tests where they create a girl profile, or they have a girl create a profile, and they jump up on an app to see how many matches and how many people are matching with her and how many people are opening her. It's in the hundreds. A really hot girl in a busy area like, I don't know, Vegas or LA or something, or New York, will have 1,000 people in her inbox. 1,000. In some smaller, less populated areas, it's a few hundred. Guys don't understand how much. Guys are dealing with maybe anywhere between 5 to 30, that'll match in a week, you know what I mean? And very few will actually open the guy. Well, now you know why. She literally has hundreds to 1,000 people in her inbox, depending on how hot she is. And even the ones who aren't that attractive end up with a couple hundred. So that's why it takes a minute for you to break through all of the noise. Okay. Now those ideas came from old pickup ideas where guys were meeting the girls in person and possibly having gone and spent some time with her. Yeah. If you spend some time with her and then she's not offering interest, then don't put too much energy into it. If you've already, had a sexual exchange with her and then she's not seeming to be interested in wanting to hang out with you, you might try that like a couple times and then you're done with that. Okay. But in the dating app world and Instagram and Facebook and social media world, there's a lot more finesse that has to happen there. And you just have to accept that is a reality of the marketplace. So he goes to close right away. No problem. She denies it. It's fine. But then she initiates this. What do you do for work? All right, so he mentioned in the email some beta signaling. So she's interested in provisioning right away. She turns out she is a single mom. Now, some of you guys, this single mom stuff, look, there's a difference between screwing around and banging and just having fun with somebody and a long-term relationship and a commitment. I don't advise getting into a long-term relationship and a commitment with a woman who has somebody else's kids. Okay, most of the time that's a bad idea. Now, single mommies who listen to me understand that just means you have that objection to overcome by being better than the other single moms out there. So there's some occasions where guys have hooked up with that single mother and it's worked out fine, but those are very small and few. A large percentage of trying to do the long-term relationship thing with a single mother, usually ends in a disaster. It doesn't work very well. And that's a whole topic. And Rich Cooper over Entrepreneurs and Cars talks about that a lot. There's a lot of people in the space that talk about it. So I'm not going to get too far into it, but that's why. But as far as casual partners, those single moms can be great because they're just trying to raise their kids and they're working their job and they're trying to figure things out. And they just need an escape from that. And they want to have a good sexual relationship or good sexual situation with somebody and are not, they can't do the full relationship thing until their kid's older or whatever. And so instead of getting into some relationship dynamic where they got to introduce their kid and it's this whole mess, sometimes just having a casual sexual relationship works really well for them. And so single moms can make good plates, as we call them. Okay. But you just have to be aware of that dynamic difference. And again, not every single mom out there is horrible, but there's just a few out there that if that is you, you have to know that you have to show up and differentiate yourself from the rest of them out there because most of them are a bad idea. All right. So now getting into it, she asks, what do you do for work? Typical single mom question goes right into provisioning because she wants to know if this guy's an earner, potential daddy. Okay. But we're aware of that stuff, right? So he says, I work for blank and I work on my side business from home in spare time. She says, cafe and a bit of modeling. What do you do for the blank and what's your side business? Says I'm a bank porter. I don't know what that is. Bank porter for the blank. And my side is foreign exchange trader. So here's the dynamic. Okay. SMV difference here, right? Got a cafe for someone who works at a cafe and does modeling, right? Which means what? She has a couple pictures on Instagram or whatever. And he's a trader, works for a bank and all that. So you see the differential there, right? just important to note that. Anyway, if you're the dude, that's okay, right? I mean, you're not dating this girl for her job or her PhD, but that's something to be aware of. Like, that's not why we're interested in women. So then she says, he says, what cafe? Local ? She says where it's at. She goes, I don't understand your job, LOL. And she goes, hate this app. And then she drops her WhatsApp number. So that's the first exchange. And they take it to WhatsApp. Okay. So pretty cool. She's very interested, right? So he passed her tests. So let's review that quick little exchange there. All right. He did a casual, simple, general opener. That was interesting. Okay. I'm sure his photos are maximized. I know who this guy is because he's a client. He's not a bad looking guy. He looks pretty good, but I'm sure he maxed his photos per my advice on his apps or per common sense, right? But I say that because so many of you guys, the trend is I'm getting you in consultations and I'm getting you in situations where you're asking for my advice. And then I look at your profile or we take a peek at that, which I'm starting to do more of because I assumed that guys should understand this. And that assumption was wrong. Like, some of you guys do not have good pictures of yourself. And I think and that is an indicator, by the way, of your internal game. Your internal game is weak. You don't have the self-esteem. You don't think you're that alpha guy. Part of you doubts that. Part of you doubts your sexual market value. Part of you doesn't understand the value you bring to a woman. Because if you did, you would have the best pictures of yourself that you could present, and you wouldn't be shy about putting that out there. These guys are worried that they're going to have good pictures and a good presentation of themselves. And then they're going to be like, oh, but that's not me, right? No, that is you, man. That's you with a good photographer. And I'm not saying use an editing app and try to, make yourself look completely different and fatfish some girl or something, or have to, take pictures next to a rented Lambo and pretend you're rich when you're homeless. Like, I'm not saying do that, of course, but I mean, like, some of you guys have things you do in your life that are good demonstrations of higher value, and you don't understand your own value. Don't even have the self-esteem. Going back to before, some guys can't even do one damn pull-up. It's not hard to show up and be attractive anymore. Okay. So don't be embarrassed about putting yourself out there in a way that's attractive. Some of you guys shy away from that, but that tells me that deep down inside, you don't feel like you're attractive. And that is going to put you in a position to simp for women. That's going to put you in this position where you find yourself qualifying to women and doing all the wrong things that you know you shouldn't do, because you watch my stuff and you watch other people out there, you know what not to do, and you'll find yourself doing it because deep down inside you don't feel like you're worth anything. All right. And you're looking for looking for validation from women and stuff like that. So that's a good indicator. All right. Come see me if it's a major problem that you're having trouble overcoming. All right. But you have to present your pictures in your profile, maximize that. It's just you're not going to get the results if you don't. All right. So this is a case in point example. He opened her casual opener. It was a decent exchange, nothing creepy, nothing weird, good flow. In a few lines, you went to closer because she said, I'm going to be basically in town. I think she was doing her hair. He said, I'm going into town soon. Hey, why don't we go grab a drink? The way the casual conversation went, that was a natural thing to ask for. Doesn't matter that she said no. She continued the conversation to try to vet him. What she vet him for? Provisioning, asked about his job. That's fine. Doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? She's going through a checklist in her head. If he wasn't a good looking guy based on the photos, she wouldn't have gone that far. She would have never even responded to his initial message if his photos weren't maximized, if he wasn't attractive to her. So all she looks at his photos, she in her head goes, this is a guy I would bang. And now she is just trying to see, like, okay, is he a person that is worth me banging? I got to make sure it's okay. Is it safe for me to bang this guy? That's all she needs to figure out. She figures out he has a decent job. His SMV is so much higher than hers as somebody who works in the banking industry and has a side hustle and investments versus her being a cafe worker. Nothing wrong with being a cafe worker, but here's the disconnect. She also seems like, by appearance, and I can't tell, I'm not sure, but she seems like she might be younger than he is too, which is another thing. So let's do more stuff. Okay, part 2 of the exchange. All right, so this is where he closes it for the sex date. Okay. He hits her up on WhatsApp. I imagine later it's not the same thing. She sent over her WhatsApp, says, I hate this app. So she actually did what I recommend guys to do, which is getting them off the app. That demonstrates investment. When she does that, she's willing to go to one of your social media accounts so she can stalk you. She will be more invested. WhatsApp is a good one too for those places and areas, especially Europe is very, uses a lot of WhatsApp. So, so getting them off that and getting them to WhatsApp demonstrates that they're a bit more invested than just staying on the app. So that's a good thing. She actually did that with him, which demonstrates investment on her part, right? Which is a good sign. So he's not needy. He's not blowing her up, whatever. He just, casually engages her again. Morning, I've added you to WhatsApp so we can FaceTime. She said, yeah, that's good. He says, I'm busy at 11. Do you have any time before then, or would this evening be better? She says, can FaceTime now. Give me 5 minutes to wake up and get dressed, though. He says, yes, no probs. Give you a ring at 9. Give me a chance for a cup of coffee or something, whatever. Ring now, if that's okay, because I gotta go at 10, she says. And so I think I can't tell because it doesn't show a video signal, but I think they did what you call it, FaceTimed each other. All right. It's another technique I recommend guys do because it gets their investment a little bit more. All right. So in this day and age of pandemics, we're wanting to invite strangers over our house for sex on first dates. That's fine. That works out all the time. However, most girls will have a little bit of an aversion to that, even if she sees the guy as a alpha guy that she wants to have sexual relations with. Saying sexual relations like we're in a damn health class in 8th grade, but whatever. So for girls have different action thresholds. I did a video on that where I talked about sexual action threshold, which is there's her genuine burning desire, which can, let's say 0 to 10. 10 is where she's actually, you're inside of her, she's orgasming. And then there's 0 to 10, more or less on the sexual action threshold scale, right? That's her decision point where she would decide to make a sexual decision. So in other words, if she goes on a first date and she has a paradigm in her head that I will not have sex on the first date, her sexual action threshold might be at a 7. And so her desire for the guy has to go past 7 for her to break that rule. If her desire is, let's say, a 6, which is on this scale high, it's not 0, which is unattractive. She thinks he's attractive. She wants to go on another date with him. She wants to have sex with him, but it's not past that 7. So if she's 6.5, her action threshold is 7, meaning that she has a barrier, which is she doesn't do that on the first date, right? And so she's not breaking that rule unless her desire climbs past that. Now, this guy, takes it past the simple 30-minute coffee or drink date to vet her and does a location change, escalates a little bit physically, and these location changes, they get into deeper discussions, some sexual innuendos. Her desire now climbs from a 6 to an 8, 8.5. Well, her action threshold was 7. What happens? She ends up having sex with a guy. This is why a girl on vacation does it with foam cannon party guy and then goes out with a guy she's actually more attracted to at home, but then doesn't bang him on the first date. That's why that can happen. All right. It's not that foam cannon party guy, to use Rollo's example, right? The foam cannon party guy might be an alpha guy. Okay. Probably was, but her sexual action threshold's lower too, because she's on vacation, she's drinking, and she's uninhibited. Whereas maybe back at home, she has more inhibitions. If she's not 21 anymore and she's more like 27 now and has had several experiences under her belt, her inhibitions may be a little higher too. So that can make the action threshold higher. Anyway, bottom line is you bust through that action threshold for making a sexual decision, which might be coming over to see you, by getting more investment via the text exchanges. So moving to WhatsApp is a good investment. Doing a video chat or even a phone or audio chat is a good investment. That demonstrates that she is interested and invested in you, and then she has enough comfort. In other words, not so much tension or anxiety about seeing you and what those results could be like. She has enough comfort just to meet with you, right? And so anyways, he moves it to that video exchange, works out good. And then she texts him at like 5:30 or something later. So it was in the morning, they had a quick conversation. So her interest went up like this. And this gave him a chance to vet her too. Are her pictures, garbage, or is she actually hot? So that 10-minute investment there, getting her over to that exchange worked out. And you see how he moved it to that exchange pretty seamlessly because his pictures were good. He wasn't showing neediness. And so he was being attractive, not being unattractive. He wasn't being a creep. He wasn't trying to think of clever lines. He was just exchanging with the girl like a normal person. And that caused her to have that chat. And then she re-engages him. Okay. That evening, I'm bored. What are you up to? When a girl texts you, I'm bored. What are you up to? What do you think she's after? Let's use our common sense, guys. Right? That's a good opportunity right there, isn't it? Okay. He says, just chill in a minute. You got the kids tonight? Nope. That's why I'm bored. What do you think she's after, boys? See, they will close you, man. They will help you when they're attracted to you. All right. That's important to notice here. She goes, come to mine in a few hours, just making tea, and then I'll be diving in the shower. Okay. So that ends up, wait, let me look more here. Oh, yeah. Okay. So that was that. Okay. So then she goes, okay. He says, give me till 8. She goes, okay. Looking forward to meeting you. What's your postcode? Whatever. So exchange it. No problem. See you at 8. She gets there. I'm here. Okay. So that's the next one. So then they have a bunch of sex. So now the sexual exchange goes really well. That's really important. All right. You're not going to do well. It's hard to redeem yourself if you have a not so good sexual exchange with a girl on the first go. If she really thinks you're attractive, she may give you a second go, and for experiences that haven't been that good in the past, then she might give you another go, but it's not going to be good. It's not, especially if you're trying to set up a good sexual casual relationship with somebody. If it's a sexual casual relationship with somebody, then she has to be in it for the sex, right? So if the sex is not, pretty good for her, then ain't gonna work. So sex is very important, guys. Very important. And my camera is very important too. As you can see, I have to have a IT person come out and fix my crap because my crap's broken. That's why. Not just my camera, but it's my internet exchange. Here it is, my lake. There you go. You guys get to see my lake house, right? Okay, cool. Anyway, back at it. So I got this nasty delay right now. So hopefully you guys are fucking shit. I kind of want to punch my computer right now. People really need to do what I say. I call these people and tell them to fix my crap. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, man. Yeah, it is a nice view. I got the Pimp Lake house up here. It's pretty good. All right, so she comes over. They have really good sex exchange. Again, very important element to this. This is why I talk about this. This is why I have guys like Sterling on. This is why I'm going to have a section in my frame course on sex. This is why in consultations, sex becomes a topic, because if the sex isn't good and you need to improve your technique and yourself in the bedroom, you know, because that is really important for maintaining a frame with a woman. It just is. And so she says, I had fun. Thanks. You know, he said, me too. Here's to much more. You have work to do. She said, I've already changed the app to women only. So I'll have to explain what they talked about in a second. He says, good girl. Send me pics of your homework later. My boy's on his way. I will. Something. I don't know what I said. But yeah, so send me pics of your homework later. Okay, so he set up the paradigm right in the beginning after this sexual exchange, and he'll explain it here. Let me go back to his explanation. I think maybe it was here. Okay, he goes, so here's his explanation. This is what I recommend guys do to open up the paradigm to other women, which is what he did. So he's really following what I advise textbook. If I had a textbook on this, he's following it. And he's getting the exact results. That's why I'm sharing this, because there's a lot of nuances and things don't always go as planned. But this is one of those situations where it couldn't have gone more as planned than, than you can make it. Like, this is pretty much how it should go. Okay. In a perfect world. So he said, quick background of the situation. Straight after giving her some great orgasms, I set my terms for her to continue your programming and frame, basically explaining the evolution of polygamy and how it's natural for women to be with one guy, but the guy has multiple women, eccentric. Okay, so I don't really say to explain all that necessarily, but after what it is the frame that he's presenting. So if you go back to my frame series, I talk about programming. So programming is where you're presenting yourself and the world in a certain way, which allows her to get the emotional buy-in and start seeing the world the way you do. So I imagine it was fine in this context. I don't think you guys, I just want to be clear, because you don't have to get into deep like explanations all the time. That's usually not how it happens. But in this context, I imagine it was after a bomb sex session, right? And they introduced the idea of their women right away. So now he's in a conversation with her, and she's giving her opinions and this and that, and maybe her potential objections. And then he offers statements of facts like, well, I used to think the way you did, but we evolved as a polyamorous species, and that changed into polygamy, where it was one man, multiple wives. Like if you check in the Bible, like you've heard of that, right? With the agricultural revolution, multiple women would tend to go for one dominant guy that they were sexually attracted to. So that's why women tend to be more fluid in their sexuality than men. And that's why a lot of times you can have a really good relationship with somebody and experience other women in the bedroom, and everything's actually healthy. It falls in line with our evolution. And so having that statement, okay, during this exchange, while she's feeling all the oxytocin, super happy after sex, having an open discussion about it. She's open to the idea. She's attracted to this guy, sees him as alpha. You can see how this unfolds. And that's exactly what he did. He had that conversation. And so then she was into it, and she was agreement and curious and all that stuff. And she, he then being the dominant guy, he said, well, I'm, basically, I think we can go pretty far. So it's that frame again. Hey, you do the relationship dynamic that I want. We can go pretty far with this. She has a ton of emotional buy-in because she just had this great experience with him. So she feels good about that. And then he says in a dominant way, like, do your homework, which is, we're going to source other girls together. And they got in this little contest where he's going to source other girls for the bedroom for the both of them. And then she's going to source other girls through Tinder for the bedroom of the both of them. So she changed her profile to girls. So that's how that is done. One way it can be done, but that's a demonstration of what I recommend if you want this style of relationship in your life. Okay. Because a lot of women are going to be very happy with this and very cool with it. Some are not, but the ones that are not, of course, they can find a guy who doesn't want this. There's plenty of those. Okay. So you can vet out those potentials right there in the beginning and set that up, but it's all about setting up the frame. Okay. And that's what he did. So, and then he demonstrates too one more thing about, he said, not taking any crap, basically, because I did that respect video on Wednesday. It's a good one. You guys got to need to check it out. And so she says he's demonstrating that too. So he's holding the frame here, and we'll just read this exchange. So now they're in this relationship back and forth where they're having a sexual relationship, and they're also haven't had other women yet, but now she's open to sourcing it. She's actively trying to source women for him, which is what I recommend, what I teach guys to do. So she goes, okay, boss, or something. I don't know what the previous was. He goes, how's your car coming on? She says, okay, might have to go in the garage though. It's half fixed. He says, my friend owns a garage, whatever. He's really good. Recommend him. So does my dad's mate. He'll fix it. He's like, fair enough. She goes, I miss your D. Okay. Used another word for it. I'll censor. She goes, then behave yourself and you can keep using it. She goes, I will, promise. And she goes, can be at yours at 12:30ish. She goes, okay, we can chill for a bit, and then you can drive me, you can drive me to my boys' school before you go. So, yep. So he's just, see how he's dominantly directing that relationship now. Okay. So he's in charge of it. She's both submissive and qualifying to him. She wants him for sex. That's the dynamic. So a lot of you guys have never experienced this. It's weird for me but I guess I get it. A lot of you guys have never been in a situation where a girl is wanting to use you for sex. That's the dynamic you want to have. Okay. When you give a girl mind-blowing sex and she's wired for it, she'll want to use you for herself. And that's what you're trying to do. All right. When I finish with this, I'll get questions and stuff in the chat. Okay, so then he shows a picture because they're in a little competition, right? He shows a picture of a hot girl and goes, I'm going to end up winning this competition. So he already matched and has another girl looking at him. She goes, no mention of me, though, because I guess there was a conversation or something. She didn't see what she saw in a screenshot wasn't a mention of her. She goes, no mention of me, no, fuming. So she's now getting mate protective, right? He goes, I did actually, and she wants to. She goes, K, one word answer. She goes, are you not interested now? She just goes, I am. And then he says, well, then don't jump to assumptions and speak to me like that. So see, he's setting a boundary, which is some of you guys are so fearful that you would never say to a girl, hey, don't do that, right? You never tell a girl no. All right. You learn a lot when you tell a girl no. But he says, don't jump to assumptions and speak to me like that. So in other words, she was trying to get butt hurt because he was sourcing a girl, even though they talked about sourcing girls together. He's saying, listen, like I talked about us and that's what this is about, or when I shared it kind of a thing. And, he's telling her like, yeah, so don't jump to those conclusions. Right. And so she replies, sorry, I'll make it up to you. So that's the right answer. Okay. When someone is in your sexual frame, that's how they answer. When they're not in your sexual frame, that's not how they answer. All right. And not to say that she would always answer that way. I mean, if, she thought she was right and all this and was indignant, they might be in a conflict. But in this case, that's not how that went. So he said, you will, she goes, I'll make it up to you. She goes, you will be, if you give me attitude like that, you will. She goes, okay, boss. Anyway, so she apologizes and whatever. So they're still doing their thing. But that's a good example. Okay. It's a textbook example, actually, if we're going by the Apex Mindset, Paul Benjamin textbook of sourcing women, closing, and setting up a third person. All right. And so you can see how that exchange went. Pretty seamless, right? And yeah, there's a lot of nuances there to that. So hopefully you guys can see what that is, because I think a lot of times I talk about stuff and then people are like unsure how that looks like, how to apply it. So even, it's not going to show, it's hard for me to show personal examples of my personal life because I'm a figure here on YouTube. And so a lot of girls are not going to want to get doxxed like that. I mean, even if I read those exchanges, some of those things, friend circles that know me or know her are going to figure out what's going on, and they're throwing private stuff up there. So it's not for me, but I have tons of clients that are doing what I tell them to do and doing what I recommend, and they're doing that stuff. And so it's cool to share that because they're doing the things that, and you can see the results and how it's panning out. So I think it's actually a little more effective even to see that, you know what I mean? To see what, not just me, what I would do and what I tell you to do, but what someone's actually doing and how it works. So that was a good example. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'm going to go back out in the chat here, answer a few questions before I got to go. All right. So we'll start with Caleb. He asked me if I'm going to do a video. I just had a question about this. I don't know if this is you though, or if it was another person who asked the same question. Is on the comments. I do read those, but he asked about difficulties in picking up Christian girls. To me, I don't think there aren't any I mean, okay, you might have difficulties, but I didn't find it difficult to pick up Christian girls at all. All right. The reason why is because it's kind of the same thing. You're showing up as the alpha sexual option, and then you're sort of dismantling their paradigm through the programming portion of Frame. It's really what it boils down to. Now, some of the problem, if you're having a problem with Christian girls, it's because you're one-nighting or fixating on one or two specific girls that you want. And that's the mistake. When you don't have abundance with women, guys will see the one or two girls that they really like at the church or, at their social circle or that works at that one cafe or whatever. And they focus gaming that one chick. Like, I got to get that particular girl. Like she's some sort of prize. And that puts you in completely the wrong mental framework, even to appropriately get her to want to have any kind of exchange with you, any kind of casual relationship or any kind of dating relationship with you, because you're putting her essentially as a basically higher than you kind of, right? She's now special. She's the one or whatever. It's the wrong framework. All right. None of these girls are special. Okay. What makes them special is how they, all right. What makes them special is through their willingness and through their interaction with you. They reveal parts of themselves that make them unique and different than other women out there. And they're interested in you. And now you're building a sexual exchange and a relationship exchange, whether casual or whatever, dating, doesn't matter. You're building this. It's what you're building together that makes her special. If you have a regular, if you're married to someone for 10 years, she is special to you, but she's special to you because of what you're building together, not because she's, somehow a better human being than everybody else, right? Or whatever. And in some ways she might have qualities that are better than a lot of other women, but that's not the point. You see, you guys are when you're coming from a place of scarcity, like dudes going to a church, trying to get girls from the church, you're limiting yourself in terms of your options. You're isolating the handful of girls you really want to get with. And then it becomes about gaming those girls. It should just be about getting girls in general on a date. If there's a girl in church, she's not special. I'll close her like everybody else. I'll get her out for drinks like everybody else. She's not going to be responsive to that because she's a dum-dum. Then there'll be another girl probably in that same church that will be. So we're going to start with that. Okay. Now there's other nuances with church girls that maybe we can get into that or something. If you have a specific issue, you got to book some time with me and we can go through it. But I mean, there are nuances, obviously, when dealing with girls in different social circles. Church is a social circle, so that's one of them. But maneuvering those nuances is not that hard, really, when you present yourself as a high-value alpha male who's a high genetic option for mating. All right. So let's go through more questions. All right. Reading. What does this say? All right. What do you respond to? Am I not enough for you? Oh, for multiple women? It's okay. So it depends on where you're at in the exchange. Okay. If she responds to that and it's sort of in the beginning that you're mentioning it, you just look at her and you say, well, no, that has nothing to do with it. It's that, I think we can have something better than what most people have together, or at least that potential's there. And if we're experiencing this dynamic together, it can actually bring us closer together or be better. And so it's not about not wanting you around or you're not enough. It's about wanting to experience something that I have experienced before. And I don't want to, hold those experiences. If we go someplace and it becomes something that we really like each other, whatever, I don't want to, experience something with having had experienced something really good with someone else and having not experienced that with you. And so that's pretty much what it is. So that presentation, okay, places it where you've experienced this with other people. So her hypergamous brain and her solipsism causes her to think, all right, if he's experienced this with another girl, well, then if he's not going to experience that with me, then that's going to make me at a lower position than that other girl. And so through just intersexual competition, she's going to want to participate or at least explore the idea with you. The second part of that is you're letting her reasons for jealousy is not having that top tier position with you. So she wants a top tier position with you. She has to earn that now. So she doesn't just get that after one date, but she wants to be, valued by you, have that top tier position. It's not sexual exclusivity that makes that the case for a woman. It's the willingness to be taken care of. All right. And resources and that sort of thing, and willingness to father potential children and those sorts of things. When we're talking evolutionarily speaking, okay, if she knows that she gets a top tier position with you and that she's that part of your life and that anybody else that you bring in, they're not that competition. Okay. And this is especially moving forward. In the beginning, casually, that's not as big of an issue, but later, especially moving forward, she understands that she's basically your ride or die, and these other people have to really earn a place to even be close to that. Then she's willing to not just willing to experience this with you, but will enjoy the experience with you. She just has to know that she is a special part of your life. You know what I mean? That she's not just discarded or like treated like every other girl. And that's her concern. All right. So you mitigate for that and you create, because it is legit. I mean, if you've experienced this with other women or, whatever, and, you're not experiencing it with her, what's the likelihood of her and you really being together long term? That's the way she's going to think about it. So there's that intersexual competition as well. So hopefully that makes sense. Haven't seen anybody talk about the use of punctuation in text game, the use of question marks, signal seeking rapport, and I see guys doing it everywhere. I mean, using punctuations. Oh, so question here, another one, first of all. State of fact as an opener. Yeah, sometimes. Yep, exactly. Instead of like, oh, you look so beautiful or whatever, you look so pretty and whatever, just state of fact, easy opener. Nice scenery is a good opener. Instead of, you look so beautiful in that dress next to that, ocean. All right. You see the difference? Nice scenery, period. Okay. Appearance of low effort means you're high value. All right. So, yeah. So so we're getting into nuances of punctuations, emojis, stuff like that. You can use them to your advantage. You can use them to your disadvantage. Just ask yourself, am I leading this interaction, and am I coming from a place of power or submission? That's the question you have to ask yourself. If you're interacting with a girl and you're coming from a place of submission, meaning you're trying to get her, or you're trying to, qualify to her, or trying to explain yourself to her, or trying to convince her, or trying to learn more about her, because you like her, versus just like genuine curiosity to see if you would like her or not. Those are positions of weakness and submission. If you're texting from a position of power, then your punctuations and emojis will indicate that. Okay. So that's the short of that one. See more. All right. We got, what's up? What's up, man? Men. Okay. Like, you can't say I want you in black tonight without adding a period at the end, or it's not the same. Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, yeah, obviously, sure. But that's, again, goes back to what I said. If I say I want you in black tonight, period. Well, that's the other thing. Using proper language, somewhat proper. Okay. Think about how your texts sound when you're so when you're writing texts to people, do you sound like an idiot? That's important. If you sound like an idiot because you don't know how to use grammar and words and language effectively, and sometimes if you're dealing with foreign languages, I get it, but even as such, you want to not sound like an idiot, right? So using the normal punctuations and normal grammatical stuff is probably good. All right. You don't want to just like send a bunch of, trash over and misspelled words with no punctuations. You look dumb, right? So you need to present and be intelligent, or you're gonna look as lower in SMV if you don't. But yeah, for sure. Again, text from a position of power. All right. Boom. Yes, my day is going amazing. Okay, so somebody the chat just bumped and I missed half the question. So guy said he's a teacher for sociology. Here we go. Teacher in economics, sociology, politics. But in French, when you say that you're a teacher, it's like zero value. Cool. Well, then use basically, you don't have to answer what do you do for a living directly. What do you do for a living? I'm a secret agent. I own 3 brothels. These kinds of answers, and give her a wink, and then pivot to another part of the conversation. You know what I mean? You don't necessarily need to, and so how you're presenting it probably is low value too. That's the other thing. You know what I mean? I'm an academic. I do a lot of teaching and stuff nearby. I'm an academic. I do a lot of studying, whatever. There's a way to present things. Do you write too? Do you do like, I'm a writer, academic, and I do some teaching, right? There's a way to present things that are not low value where it's still true. Okay. So you'll have to figure out what that is, but you probably feel low value because of your job. So you're saying it in a way that sounds low value, and then people are presenting it as low value, or perceiving it rather as low value. So that's part of the problem. And yes, maybe it's to being a teacher as a male might be one of those jobs that is considered a low value job. That's kind of normal in a lot of places, not just France, but guess what? You can present that differently too. Do you have any side hustles? Do you have any hobbies that you do that are higher value? Focus and gear towards that. Do you know what I mean? Plenty of guys with jobs that appear to be not quite, attractive have other things going for them, and they pull girls. So you need to lean into that and not lean or be so worried about your job. I think if you're sensitive about, and this is another point, if you're sensitive or feel weak about something, she's going to pick up on that, and that's going to make you be lower SMV to her and be less attractive. All right. So that's something to keep in mind. and looking for questions. A lot of comments. I appreciate it, guys. You guys are awesome. Hopefully you guys like all of this advice. Throw a fire in the chat. Maybe throw a like if you haven't liked it. Okay, it looks like I stopped. What about emojis? Yeah, I just answered that though. What would a rebuttal apply to plates as well? Would that, I don't know which one, but probably. I don't know. All right, so okay, thanks for answering my question from your last stream, even though it sounded unrealistic. I don't know what you're talking about. May sound, so a lot of this stuff is going to sound unrealistic. Is my camera doing it? Right now, my face looks paused. My face looks paused. Son of oh, I see why. I'll fix that again. Here's my view again. All right. So I got to get going. I got an evening planned, a whole event planned here in Detroit with, bunch of girls, bunch of stuff, hotel rooms, all kinds of crap going on tonight. So I don't even know if I'm going to make it to Rural Zero tomorrow. We'll have to see what's going on. Are healthy relationships boring? No, the healthy relationships are amazing. You have a healthy relationship, you go off and do amazing stuff in that with your partner in that relationship. All right. So the healthy relationship's only boring if you're boring and your partner's boring. Okay. If you are interesting and you do cool stuff and your partner does cool stuff and is interesting in that, is interested in doing cool stuff, then guess what? Your relationships are going to be awesome. All right. So that's how that goes. Okay. So that'll answer. We'll probably pivot and end at the questions at there. So I appreciate you guys, hit that like button. You got about double the amount of people watching than who's hit the like. So help me out and do that so we can get this information out to people, help people out. But yes, a lot of the things I say will seem to some of you guys because of the world you live in and the paradigm you're in that, man, that doesn't seem realistic, or that doesn't seem like something I could do. That doesn't seem like whatever. And that's why I like sharing the exchange or the text exchanges from somebody that was a client. And by the way, send your successes and your failures, screenshot those texts, send them to me at apxmindset.net. And if you want advice for free, I'll select certain ones and share them on, Get the Girls Friday. Okay. So we'll talk about them Friday and I'll share it and we can break it down and that'll help you guys out. But that's why I like to show that stuff, real people out in the field, because if I show, even just showing my stuff or whatever, people look at me like, well, yeah, of course you can pull that off or whatever. You're the whatever I am. You're the expert at this, of course. Well, little old me, I can't do that. Well, that's not actually true, man. So you can pull things off. You can get a lot more out of life and out of women than you probably realize. So there's things that you'll think is unrealistic because it just isn't in your paradigm. I remember the idea of having a healthy relationship with somebody where you're open to other women in the relationship was, you couldn't, 10 years ago, you couldn't have told me that was a real thing, and then when I studied more evolutionary psychology, biology, and your relationship dynamics, I realized, learned a lot more about it. And I realized that actually can be a healthy dynamic. Whereas open polyamory is not a healthy dynamic, but that dynamic can be. Okay. So you learn things as you go along and then understanding how to set that up in that paradigm. Well, if you never, if the box that you're operating in, if you're the frame that you're in is that, oh, I don't, this would never work, or girls wouldn't be okay with that, or girls would only be cool with that if you looked like Paul Benjamin, or if you looked like this guy or that guy, or if you had, $1 million stuff, or you had a ton of status. That's the only reason girls would do that. Girls wouldn't do that for me or whatever, where I'm at. Like, if that's your paradigm, well, yeah, you're going to be right. But the reality is, there are certain things that are unrealistic for guys, but, not as much as what you think. Like we said in the beginning of this little chat here that we're having, some guys can't even do one pull-up. Okay. So the bar, all right, is very low for you to overcome. and have great relationships in your life. Whether it's like what this guy has right now, a casual relationship where, you know, working out well and open and sourcing other women, or whether it's a long-term relationship like that, or whether it's a conventional monogamous relationship, whatever the dynamic is that you want and that you can design that fits, I mean, you can have it. All right. It's just, you have to learn how to do it. You have to open up your thinking a little bit. Okay. In order to have it. So some of you guys get down on yourself and you're not seeing the value that you have. And that's some of the biggest mistakes that I see. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. Like, subscribe, get on the email list when I put the link in the description, or go to one of my other videos and link it there. If you need to book a consultation, apexmindset.net. And I got a wild weekend planned, so I'm going to get that started here soon. Catch you guys later.